Welcome to the Talus Quick Start videos. Now we're going to look at assessments. That is how you actually manage the process of an EPA, recording assessments, marks and grades. We're going to log in as an assessor. All users, when they first go into Talus, are presented with the dashboard. I've set up this assessor as only having a couple of EPAs assigned to them, and they can click on the in progress item on the dashboard. We're going to look at the EPA for Jane Jones, so we click on that, and you can see that the status of this EPA is in progress. There are ticks alongside the various sections of the apprenticeship record. Obviously all their details have been entered. This apprentice was registered a few days ago. They've been pushed through the gateway. The planning stage has been completed. So now it's actually managing the process of the EPA itself. If we look down through the screen, you'll see there's a header section first of all, where you can enter information such as reasonable adjustments and so on. That's the overall reasonable adjustments, when you can also set reasonable adjustments on each individual assessment component. But if we scroll down, you can see that there are 4 assessments on this particular EPA. This is the hospitality team member. And we're going to start off by looking at the business project. A deadline had already been entered by the planning team, which is typically the internal members of staff for the EPAO, but could of course be the assessor themselves. And the project has been attached to this particular component within the EPA part of the system. That might have been attached by the training provider, or it could have even been attached by the apprentice themselves if you want to set them up as having a login for the system. That's very rarely done in practice. It would normally be the training provider. You can actually attach a document into the system or enter a link to an e-portfolio system or a document storage system. But in this case, I've attached a document. The assessor could open the document here, and review the project, and then come back and enter the result for that project. So we'll pick today's date as the date that we actually did the assessment. It obviously defaults to the assessor that I'm logged in as. And we simply enter a grade. The assessment component header switches to amber or orange to indicate that it requires IQA. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see the normal starting colour is blue, and it goes through blue, then amber, and then through to green once it's been finally IQA'd. So the overall objective is obviously to get all 4 of these assessments to have a green header at the top of them. With this particular assessment component, the actual recording of the grade is as simple as that, but the assessor can actually attach a document with the marks and grade criteria that they've entered. Different assessment components work in different ways. The layout of the on-demand test is slightly different, as you can see. Reasonable adjustments, once again, can be entered into the system for a particular assessment component. This particular assessment component would typically be performed on an e-assessment system. The mark might be fed in from the e-assessment system, or it could be entered by the EPAO or the assessor. Once again, supporting evidence can be attached. It could be that the apprentice has failed that particular assessment component, and then they come back and resit a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later. So you would have multiple rows in the results section, in the appointments and also the results sections. So once again, that assessment component has gone amber as it requires IQA. This particular apprenticeship standard is set up as mandatory IQA on all EPAs, but you can configure that in the setup area yourselves. If we move on to the other assessment components, we can enter results for them in the same way. Some assessment components, you have to enter a mark and a grade, and some are obviously defined as only a grade. That's down to your particular standard. So we would go down, entering the grades for each assessment. Okay, so we've now entered grades for all 4 assessment components. Let's whiz back up through them just to check. Yeah, they're all orange. Awaiting IQA. But the final task for the assessor is to set the overall EPA grade for the EPA as a whole. That's done by this action button on the right hand side. And they can simply click that button. So the status of the overall EPA is now requires IQA. The assessor's job is finished, and an email would automatically be sent to the internal member of staff at the EPAO to organise the next phase of the process. It's worth pointing out that all of these assessment components have been set up in my demonstration as being able to be delivered remotely, e-assessment tests being able to be completed online with e-proctoring. So Talus is well set up for remote assessment to allow you to run your EPAO in the most efficient way possible. The next video will look at the IQA process, but for now, thanks for watching this Talus Quick Start video.